Every Sonic character wears gloves. Sonic wears gloves, Tails wears gloves, Knuckles wears gloves, Amy, Shadow, Silver, Blaze, all gloves. Even the villains wear them. And the question nobody asks is, why? At first this seems like a stupid question. Of course they wear gloves, they're cartoon characters. Mickey Mouse wears gloves, Bugs Bunny wears gloves, it's just what cartoon characters do, right? But the more you dig into it, the more you realize there's something deeper going on. Something Sega never explicitly explained. Something hiding in plain sight for over 30 years. So why do Sonic characters wear gloves? Is it just a design choice? Or is there an in-universe reason that explains why every single character, hero and villain, speedster and civilian, refuses to take them off? Welcome to the investigation into Sonic's gloves. Let's start with the obvious explanation. Sonic wears gloves because that's what cartoon characters did in the early 1900s. Mickey Mouse, created in 1928, wore white gloves. Felix the Cat wore gloves. Every major cartoon character from the 1930s wore gloves. And there was a practical reason for this. In black and white animation, characters' hands would blend into their bodies. If Mickey Mouse didn't wear gloves, his black hands would disappear against his black body. White gloves created contrast. They made hand gestures readable. They let animators show emotion through hand movements without losing visual clarity. This became an industry standard. Even when cartoons moved to color, characters kept their gloves because audiences expected it. It became part of cartoon visual language. So when Yuji Naka and Naoto Oshima designed Sonic in 1991, they followed this tradition. Sonic wears gloves because Mickey Mouse wore gloves 60 years earlier. But here's the problem with this explanation. Sonic was created for video games, not animation. He didn't need contrast for black and white film. The Sega Genesis had color. Sonic's blue body and peach arms already had contrast. So why did Sega's designer still give him gloves? There has to be more to it than just cartoon tradition. To figure out the real reason, we need to understand what Sonic's creators were trying to accomplish. Yuji Naka didn't just want to make a mascot, he wanted to make the fastest character in gaming. Sonic's entire identity was built around speed. And when you're moving that fast, visual clarity becomes crucial. Look at Sonic's original sprite from Sonic 1. At high speeds, you need to know exactly where Sonic's body parts are at all times. His blue body, his red shoes, his white gloves. Each element has a distinct color that reads clearly even when he's moving at maximum velocity. Without gloves, Sonic's hands would be the same peach color as his arms and face. They'd blur together. And before we dig into what Sonic might be hiding under those gloves, if you don't subscribe right now, I'm forcing you to play Sonic 06 loading screens on repeat. Hit that subscribe button before you're trapped in eternal waiting. The gloves serve a specific gameplay purpose. When Sonic grabs a ring, you see his white gloved hand reach out. When he holds onto Tails during fight sections, the white gloves show exactly where the grab point is. When he's spin dashing, the white gloves create a visual cue in the rolling animation. The gloves aren't just decoration, they're functional gameplay design. This explains why Sega gave Sonic gloves, but doesn't explain why every character wears them. Tails isn't known for speed, why does he need gloves? Amy's a slower character focused on her hammer, why gloves? Eggman doesn't even move fast, why does a scientist need white gloves? If gloves are just for visual clarity at high speeds, why do characters who don't go fast still wear them? The design explanation only goes so far. It explains Sonic, but it doesn't explain the world Sonic lives in. And that's where we need to shift from design logic to in-universe logic. That's where the darker answer appears. Here's something Sega never wants you to think about too hard. Sonic is a hedgehog, not a cartoon hedgehog, not a stylized hedgehog, an anthropomorphic hedgehog based on a real animal. And real hedgehogs have something that cartoon hedgehogs usually hide: claws. Hedgehogs have 5 claws on each paw, sharp, pointed claws designed for digging through soil and defending against predators. These aren't decorative, they're functional body parts that real hedgehogs use for survival. So if Sonic is based on a hedgehog, and hedgehogs have claws, then Sonic has claws. The question becomes, where are they? The answer is obvious once you think about it. They're under the gloves. Sonic's gloves aren't just a design choice. They're covering something. And if Sonic has claws, then every other animal character probably has claws too. Tails is a fox. Foxes have claws. Knuckles is an echidna. Echidnas have claws. Amy is a hedgehog. She has claws. Shadow is literally called the ultimate life form. He definitely has claws. But if everyone has claws, why hide them? Why does every character in Sonic's world wear gloves to cover them up? To answer that, we need to think about what would happen if they didn't wear gloves. Think about what Sonic does on a daily basis. He runs at supersonic speeds. He grabs rings while moving faster than sound. He high-fives Tails mid-flight. He shakes hands with NPCs. He holds Amy's hand, he grabs ledges, climbs walls, and physically interacts with his environment constantly. Now imagine doing all of that with exposed claws. Every handshake becomes a risk. Every high five could draw blood. Every time Sonic grabs Tails to fly, he's digging his claws into his best friend's hands. Every time he catches a ring, his claws scrape against metal. The gloves aren't fashion, they're safety equipment. They're protecting everyone around him from accidental injury. And it's not just about preventing cuts. Think about the physics. Sonic runs so fast he breaks the sound barrier. The friction from that speed would generate massive heat. The impact from landing after a jump at those velocities would shatter bones. Without protection, Sonic's hands would be destroyed. The gloves aren't just protecting others, they're protecting Sonic himself from the consequences of his own speed. This explains why everyone wears gloves, not just speedsters. In a world where some people can move at supersonic speeds, where superpowered individuals live alongside normal civilians, where physical contact with enhanced beings could be dangerous, wearing gloves becomes a social norm. It's the polite thing to do. It's how you show you're safe to be around. But this is just a theory, right? Fan speculation with no real evidence. Except when you look at the games, you realize Sega has been hinting at this the entire time. Let's look at what happens in the games when the character's gloves are removed or damaged. In Sonic Unleashed, when Sonic transforms into Werehog, his gloves don't just stay intact, they physically tear. His claws break through the fabric. The game explicitly shows that something sharp was being restrained, and now it's free. The Werehog's claws aren't just for show, they're his primary weapon. He uses them to stretch, to grab, to fight. The gloves were containing something powerful, and now that the gloves are gone, that power is unleashed. The game treats the exposed claws as a sign that Sonic is losing control, becoming more beast than hero. And look at Knuckles' design. Knuckles doesn't just wear gloves. He wears gloves with metal plates and spikes on them. Why? Because Knuckles punches things. His entire fighting style revolves around using his fists. The reinforced gloves protect his hands from the impact, while protecting his opponents from his claws. The games have been showing us this evidence for decades. We just weren't paying attention because we accepted its cartoon design choice as the answer. But Sega has been hinting that there's more to it. The gloves matter. They serve a purpose, and that purpose is restraint. Now, let's talk about characters who don't wear traditional gloves, because they prove the theory even more. Big the Cat doesn't wear gloves. He wears mittens. Why? Because Big is peaceful. He's a fisherman. He's not running at super speeds or fighting anyone. He doesn't need the dexterity that gloves provide. Mittens are enough to keep his claws covered. Maureen the raccoon wears fingerless gloves. Why? Because she's a mechanic who needs to feel what she's working on. But notice, she still covers her palms. The part of her hands most likely to make contact with others are still protected. Even the characters who break the glove rule still follow the underlying principle: cover what could hurt people. And then there's the villains. Eggman wears gloves despite being a human scientist who definitely doesn't have claws. But Eggman is a narcissist who models himself after the world around him. If everyone in Sonic's world wears gloves, Eggman wears gloves too. He's adopted the fashion to fit in, even though he doesn't need them for the same biological reasons. So, why do Sonic characters wear gloves? The answer has 3 layers. The first layer is design history. Cartoon characters wore gloves for visual clarity, and Sonic inherited that tradition. The second layer is gameplay function. Gloves provide color contrast and visual cues at high speeds. But the third layer, the one Sega never explicitly states, is the most interesting. In-universe gloves serve both a practical and symbolic purpose. Practically, they protect others from claws and protect the wearer from the consequences of super speeds and super strength. Symbolically, they represent the choice to be civilized rather than wild, to restrain power rather than unleash it. When Sonic wears gloves, he's saying, I have the power to hurt you, but I choose not to. When the werehog's gloves tear and his claws emerge, it symbolizes losing that choice, becoming more animal, less person. The gloves are the line between hero and beast, and that's why every character wears them. Heroes wear them to protect others. Villains wear them because they follow the same rules. Civilians wear them because it's the norm. The gloves aren't just a cartoon design inherited from Mickey Mouse. They're a crucial part of Sonic's world that we've been overlooking for 30 years. Sonic's gloves hide claws. Those claws represent power, danger, and the animal nature that lies beneath the anthropomorphic surface. And by covering them, Sonic and his friends make a choice every single day to be heroes, not monsters. If you want more deep dives into things we overlook in games, check out the video on screen before it disappears, and subscribe, because we're just getting started uncovering what's been hiding in plain sight.